thank you for joining me again today for today's live. I have already announced it, so if you can join the link, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, on YouTube, feel free to join me. And if you can hear me, please put a butterfly emoji in the chat somewhere just to make sure that I can see you. Rather, if you can see me and hear me without any issues. And as I mentioned before, today we're going to be talking about some psychology around hair, effective cleansing of the hair, the scalp, and the skin. I'm going to start by introducing myself. I have been told that I need to make my introduction as broad as I possibly can to fully reflect what I do in my business. So my name is Djanie, and I am an advanced hair, scalp, and skin therapist here in Leicester. I run a small business in a studio, and I help to develop and transform people's hair, and I also fix issues that they have. One thing I have failed to mention so far is the work that I do as a consultant. I help professionals to hone in their skills, to perfect their skills within their industry, and to also help them provide the beautiful services that they're already providing, but just to perfect it and give it that edge and professionalize their actual service provision that they offer. So that is what I do. I can't think of anything else to add. I do a lot of things, I'm so sorry, but it's all surrounding wellness, and really wellness to do with the hair and the scalp and the skin. You'll find me doing things like that. I also do courses for clients and patients. I do coaching, and it truly helps when I can guide people into doing things that they need to do to help themselves thrive properly. But all that information is online. If you're looking for me, you'll find me. My business address is at Vegan Hair Salon UK. So wherever you search for me, you'll find me there. And if you look for the double D as a logo, you will find me on there, and you can access my treatments and services. I have got a couple of hearts, so that indicates that people can see me and hear me. I'm hoping that a special guest will join us today, someone who is very, very dear to my heart. I don't know how I'm going to add them here, but we'll see. Let's see how that happens. Anna is saying hi. Hi, Anna. How are you? Would you like to join me, Anna? If it's a yes, put it in the chat. If not, of course, just ask away. If you have any questions, you can just ask me and I'll answer it for you. Anna is a very, very dear friend of mine, and she's also a client, and her 3 darling children who I have adopted as my own, to add to my own, also are clients of mine, and they are just so delicious. I absolutely adore them, and they come in and I do their hair. But fairly soon, one of them will be apprenticing with me in the studio. So that's so exciting. So Anna, hi, I love you, and I hope that you get to see you soon. But if you want to chat, come through and chat with me. And let's see if my guest is ready to join. While we wait, I'll introduce today's discussion. So we're going to talk about effective cleansing of the hair, scalp, and skin. And I'm just going to introduce the subject of cleansing. It seems to be a thing that we somehow haven't mastered properly as people. And it's important to talk about it because of the fact that it is difficult to really have effective hair, scalp, and skin care without cleansing. So if you don't get cleansing right, it is difficult to get everything right, I'm afraid to say. So we're going to talk about shampoos, we're going to talk about clarification, we're going to talk about application techniques and things like that. Again, I just want to see if my guest is waiting. I don't see her, so I'll continue talking. So, effective cleansing, I have mentioned already that it is difficult to get skincare, scalp care, hair care right if you do not start with cleansing. You don't get the cleansing right. I'll start with the skin. So, essentially, what we advise in the clinic is that people use cleansers that are sympathetic to their skin condition. When you have come to have a consultation or you've had an analysis of your skin, we will prescribe to you what you should use, and we advise that you use it accordingly. So it could be cream cleansers, foam cleansers, gel cleansers, but it's usually what we have prescribed for your skin type. Okay, what we advise is that you effectively clean, so you emulsify the product in your hands, you apply it to your skin, and you work the skin thoroughly. Do not forget the hairline. Some people forget the hairline, and this is where we get that lovely barrier between, or rather the demarcation between the hair, the scalp of the hair, and the skin. And so the products in the hair can actually come forward to the forehead, and people will end up sort of starting to notice comedones and blocked pores and pustules and papules. These are terminologies that we use, but I will simplify them. They are sort of like bumps that has pus in them, or bumps that don't have pus in them, or they have closed comedones or open comedones, which are just blackheads or milia or things like that. Anything that is not the same as the smoothness of your skin that you want to experience, basically. And so do not avoid those perimeters of the hairline, also the back of the ears, the neck, and the chest. So when we talk about skincare, we really are looking at from the top of the head to the bust area. You must care for the entire face, neck, and chest. So you cannot get skincare or hair care right if you don't address these things, or you don't get cleansing right. Cleanse thoroughly, we say about a minute of really working the product in and making sure that you are doing a great job of that. So I have just got a comment. Great job, keep it up. Thank you so much. That's a very dear friend of mine. Thank you, me. And so this is what we advise, and this goes for both men and women. Please make sure that you don't think that this is advice that we just give to women. Men must also follow the same guidelines as we give to men, and this goes out to children and so on and so forth. We're talking about rubbing the product into the skin. You have to look at the pressures that you're applying. It needs to be enough to work the product in, but not too much to shift the skin about. Okay, so we have to make sure that we're working the product nicely into the skin, going into the crevices, the areas around the eyes, the ears, the perimeters of the face and the forehead, back of the ears, neck and chest, but a nice comfortable pressure so that you're actually removing and emulsifying the debris, the dead skin cells, and you're removing that off the epidermis of the skin, so that the products that you're going to put in later can enter and do the work. You can tone, you can exfoliate, or what have you, but today we are really looking at cleansing. Cleansing is so important. I've already said that, but it's just so important because we do not have good foundation for skincare or hair care if we do not cleanse well. Once you've done that, you're going to go in and do exfoliation. Exfoliation takes a lot of forms, and I always say this to people, please don't expect to use a manual or rather physical exfoliators for you to feel that you're exfoliating your skin adequately. By virtually just rubbing in or using a flannel to your skin, that is exfoliating because essentially that removes the dead skin cells as well. And so if you decide to use a flannel and just water, you will get an exfoliation factor to your skin. We need to be gentle to the skin. It is not something we can play with very, very easily. If we don't do those things, we open the skin barrier up for infections and things like that. So we don't want that. That is when you end up with the area of the skin opened and wounded, and so that bacteria can enter and cause infection. And so I've got a question here. What causes boldness, okay? What causes baldness? Inflammation can cause baldness. Stressful situations can cause baldness. We discussed this yesterday. We have baldness, and we're talking hair loss. So I'm talking about perhaps loss, either diffused all over or patches. Or if we're talking about male pattern baldness, this is for men especially, then this is what we call androgenetic alopecia. And that is, those are scar and alopecia that has got a genetic trait. So most of the time, it is something that you have inherited naturally from both male or female parents. We used to think that it was just one side of the family, but really now it is both parents. If they have experienced it, there is a high chance that you will also experience that too. But we need to diagnose this properly. We need to know what is happening, what is going on, to know whether it's permanent scarring or androgenetic alopecia, or whether it is other forms of hair loss. But that is what we called male pattern baldness. Thank you. Someone says hi. Hi, Matt. Keep going. Keep on moving. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, any more questions, please pop them in the chat and I'll answer them for you. And so we've discussed cleansing and we've discussed exfoliation. And with exfoliation, I need to build a little bit more on that. We can do that with a chemical exfoliation, or we can do that with physical manual exfoliation. We can use the actives such as the AHAs, which is the alpha hydroxy acid, or we can use other things that are just physical. So we feel the actual grains of the physical exfoliators and we rub that in, and that manually removes the dead skin cells off the skin. But I've also spoken about the silent ones, which we don't realize that we do all the time, which is just by the virtue of rubbing a flannel or a towel on your face in a considered action, you do get an exfoliation effect. So be mindful of that when you're doing your skincare. And then you've prepared the skin. At this point, you may decide to tone, and then you're going to then treat the skin with moisturizing agents. So things that are going to either lock in moisture with hydration involved, or things that are going to cause that, that protective barrier over the skin to help the skin to just become moisturized and glowy and fresh. Okay, I haven't brought any products with me today because later on in these lives, I will be doing a live cleanse and tone with me, or face cleaning, whatever, with me. We'll see how things go. And then I'm going to move on to the scalp. How you clean your hair properly and how you clean your scalp properly so that you can have an effective hair care and scalp care regime. Oh, brilliant. You're welcome. You're very welcome. So, I always advise clients that when you're washing your hair, we always use the terminologies which are we're going to wash our hair. But really, I wish people would change that and start saying that we're going to cleanse our scalp or we're going to wash our scalp because essentially that's what you're going to do. You're going to wash your scalp. Really, the concentration should not be on the hair, it should be on the scalp because you naturally will wash the hair when you're washing the scalp. So you're going to get the products that are sympathetic to your hair, so what you're trying to achieve. People worry about whether there are sulfates in, SLSs in the products, which are the sulfates that we see in products, or whether it's sulfate free. Whatever you're using, it's about effective cleansing. So what do you do? Again, you do exactly the same thing. It's fairly simple. If you follow these instructions, they kind of apply to the other. So the skincare roughly applies to the scalp care also. It's just how you do it. Okay, so the techniques are fairly the same. So you emulsify the product into your arms, your palm of your hand, you're activating it with water. You concentrate on the scalp, you go straight into the scalp, and then you put the product in and you work it in with the pads of your fingers into the scalp, really rubbing it in. You give it a couple of minutes. Perhaps if you have a bit more time, you wait and let it sit. The idea is that you're using this as an opportunity to not just clean your scalp, but also create a nice blood circulation flow on the scalp skin area to encourage good quality hair growth, to encourage nutrients leading up to that, those blood vessels that are living on the scalp. So you're going to do that. You might do that once or twice. When you finish, you are going to rinse the product off. And when you rinse the product off, naturally you get the product that then ends up on the lengths of the hair. And so you're going to work that in and gently let that wash away. Okay. It's important to address that you're using the right products for your hair washing because of the fact that if you're using products that are stripping, so the surfactants are too strong for your hair, you will be stripping the hair of a lot of nutrients. If you decide that you're going to use sulfate products, so products that are not sulfate free, you need to know how to replenish the hair afterwards. I always say that clients should leave clarification or chelating treatment or chelating treatment, however you want to call it, to the professionals. Only because once we have done intensive treatments or intensive cleansing, it is important to replenish the hair again. So anything you do that says purification or clarification on the bottle, if you buy a product and that's what it says on there, what you need to do is you need to realize that you have got to put those nutrients back in the hair. I want to address the fact that the hair that is out of your scalp is dead fibers. These are dead proteins that are out of your scalp. Okay. There is not much we can do internally to help the hair that is out of our scalp. Once it's out and it's on the surface of your scalp, the opportunity to produce good quality hair has already surpassed. You've already surpassed that. Okay, that's already gone. The opportunity is gone because the hair is out of the scalp and is living outside of the head, but unfortunately it's dead. So everything we need to do to have the hair living and be healthy needs to happen topically from the outside in. Now, the things you do internally does help the hair as it grows. If you're living well, it helps the hair as it's growing. The only thing is the moment you get that shoot that comes out of the scalp, that opportunity is now left to you to basically deal with from the external in, right? I hope this makes sense. If it's making sense to you, please say something. You need to just either put a heart or say, yes, it makes sense. Okay, so when the scalp or when the hair is beneath the scalp, so the hair that is growing from inside out while it's still inside of your body or under the dermis of the body, at that point, you can help produce or strengthen the hair from within. However, when it appears above the dermis, above the layer of the skin, that outermost layer of the skin, that opportunity is gone because the hair that is revealed itself is a dead fiber. So anything that needs to be done to it to strengthen it, to recondition it, to help it retain length and build the resilience in it must happen by you doing that physically from using products and introducing things that strengthen the hair. Then you're going to condition the hair. It's important to realize what you need to do. Proteins, for example, are treatments that we do not advise that clients do at home. If you feel that your hair needs protein, somehow, if you feel that your hair could benefit from a protein treatment, it's important to consult with a professional to help you with that. The only reason is that we find that proteins, when it's overdone, it can make the hair brittle and can cause the hair to break. So if people are struggling with their hair and they're finding that the hair is breaking and perhaps needs something else other than just a normal, simple conditioner, it's important for them to get the help they need to identify whether they truly need protein and then what level of strength of protein that they actually require. Shop-bought proteinous products are good in the sense that they don't generally have too much proteins in them. They are balanced with moisture and protein. It's the professional products. If you buy a professional product that is a protein treatment that is in the liquid form, it is pure protein and you must be very careful with it. It's for professional use only, and if it says it's for professional use only, please believe it when it says that and only put it in the hands of a professional. The reason being is that we know what to do when things go wrong. We know what to do if the hair becomes brittle, and we can tell when things are happening that are undesirable or things that will cause you issues at the end. When you go home, for example, what will happen. So we know what to do. So please make sure you place in the hands of your professionals the things that the professionals are supposed to deal with. But when you buy a reconstructor conditioner, for example, or anything that says that it's for strengthening or reconditioning or things like that, it is balanced protein and moisture, and that is good for you to use at home. But other than that, follow just using a moisturizer or a moisturizing conditioner at home. Put it on your hair. All you need to do is squeeze the water out of the hair. Make sure that your hair is a little bit damp. You can towel blot if you like, but it's nice when you leave a bit more water in there than it would be when it's just towel blotted. And then you place the conditioner on there. If you find that you need a bit more water for the conditioner, don't be afraid to add more water to the conditioner just to get it to be activated and the ingredients to just expand and then cover the area properly. And also the water allows the hair to change its pH so that the product can enter into the cortex and really help build the strength back into the hair. So condition when the hair is wet, or when the hair is just squeeze dry, and put the conditioner on. Make sure that there's enough water in the hair. If there isn't, add more if you need to. Work that product in and leave it in for the time that it says for it to dry, for it to work its magic into your hair. Oh, very educative, 100%. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. If you want to come and join me, you can. You can come and join me and then we can have a chat. So, you've conditioned your hair. You've cleansed your hair, pardon me, and you've conditioned your hair. And you can now look at treatment that you want to then introduce afterwards. This could be leave-in treatment, for example, but don't forget to protect the hair strands, don't forget to protect your hair before styling. Okay? As I mentioned before, it's really hard to get skin, scalp, and hair treatment right when you don't have your cleansing technique right. You must get cleansing right to be able to get skin, scalp, and hair care right. Okay? That's really, really important. If you have any questions about cleansing effectively, let me know. One day I might do a video just to show you guys exactly what that looks like in the actual, demonstration, so that you can get an idea of it. Okay, I'm going to move on to why this topic seems to be a thing today, for a topic today that I want to discuss. Okay, black hair or afro hair seems to be a hair type that some people struggle to look after. It seems to be one that we as Black people struggle to look after most of the time, because we have been made to believe so many myths about our hair. And some of them are true, some of them aren't, and I'm here to debunk them. Our hair is seen to be the weakest of all kinds of hair. With other counterparts, for example, unfortunately, that isn't the case. People do want to say those things because of the way the hair grows naturally. Okay, but I always say to my clients that curly hair is healthy hair. If you've been to see me before, then you would have heard me say that before. Curly hair is healthy hair. We must not compare our hair to any other hair type. So when we discuss hair health and hair strength, we need to keep it within we cannot have a comparison between one hair type to the other and measure the strength level. We must compartmentalize it and keep it within the same family of hair that we are talking about. Okay, so I do not necessarily condone conversations around that afro hair is the weakest of all kinds of hair. It just truly isn't a discussion to be had. It's so unfair. It's like comparing I don't know, one different product to another, or tissues to, I don't know, paper, or I don't know any analogies to use, but it's just so unfair. It's an unfair hypothesis to have. So we just don't discuss those things. It is simply, how healthy is your hair within the parameters or within the nature of the hair type that you have. Okay, so how do we measure healthy hair? We just need to make sure whether the hair has got enough moisture balance in the hair. We need to make sure that it's not damaged, so that the actual hair shaft hasn't got missing parts of the hair. So the hair is not damaged and all the proteins and keratins are in the hair. We also need to make sure that the cuticles are tightly packed down, so they're retaining moisture, they're holding in the goodness of things, but also not necessarily letting go of moisture, if that makes sense. I'll demonstrate all of this at a later date. Just follow me with this theory. We have 30 days, and so we have a lot to go through. We want to make sure that the moisture that we put in the hair, or hydration that we put in the hair, is not lost. The scales of the hair needs to be tightly packed. Each strand of the hair is what we're talking about, and so that it's not too porous, but it's porous enough to let things in, but also that you have the ability to retain what comes in to stay within the hair. We need to make sure that there aren't split ends. So if there are any split ends in your hair, I'm afraid the only way to deal with it is to snip it off and have it gone. You cannot restore split ends. You can help to reduce the chances of you getting split ends, but you cannot really deal with split ends. When there's a fork in the road, the only way to do it is to nip it at the beginning of that fork. But when there's a split, you have to cut it off right at the top of the split, and then you have a good chance of looking after the hair to prevent any further splitting. Okay, and so when the hair is healthy and it's manageable, when hair is healthy, it is manageable. However, A conversation I had today with my daughter presented itself before this conversation happened today because she basically mentioned that she's just tired of her hair, and it, it's a, an unusual conversation to have because I'm her mother and this is what I do, and yet she found that she was just tired of her hair. She wasn't tired of her hair because she feels she can't do anything to her hair or that no one can help her. It's just that it's a personal feeling that she's having with her hair, and there should be a space for that. It should be fine for people to feel that they've come to a point where they perhaps need to change, or they need to put their hair away, or do something to it that is a bit more hands off. And that is where my business comes in. So I am bridging this conversation. I'm just branching it off a little bit with a discussion I also had with this. I mean, today is just a very personal conversation I'm having with you. But I had a conversation with my sister, and truly, she is my avatar for my business. And she mentioned that she would never stop relaxing her hair unless she was forced to. Now, this is a woman that has got fine hair and would love to have long hair that is, full and abundant and has got great density. But she just does not see herself as a candidate for having um, natural afro hair. So she would always relax her hair. So here we have somebody who knows that this is who she is. She's just not going to change her mind. There is nothing anyone can do about it. But when I grew up and watched her and her obsession with her hair, or her attitude towards her hair, which was positive only because she gets to style it in the way that she wants to. So should she be forced to style it in a different way, it will bring about a different attitude altogether. But this is a positive. I'm looking at her in a positive way, in the sense that she has a positive attitude towards her hair because she's handling it the way that she feels that is the preference to her. So my business came in as an answer to that, also to the fact that here is a woman who fully understands that there are limitations, or there are some issues with relaxers, which we have heard, if it is placed in the wrong hands, it does damage, of course. Everything can do damage. If you put a gun in someone's hands and they are irresponsible, they will cause damage with it. And so a gun or a weapon is only problematic depending on who's holding it and what they're doing with it. But relaxers in itself is a chemical treatment. And as with everything that is chemical or technically strong in dealing with the hair type or transforming of the hair in any way that it alters its shape or texture or whatever, it does start to damage the hair somewhat. Okay. I decided to build my business around my sister, in the sense that there are women out there who this will appeal to. This is relatable to other women who feel that they want to have hair that they want, that they can manage, that they'll be happy with, and they want to have it manageable in a way that they feel is best. And so where do I come in? I am that service provider to make sure that you get to have your hair the way you want it, in the most healthiest of way possible within that scale of how you're having your hair. So we're not talking about pristine health, because pristine healthy hair would be hair that hasn't been touched, hasn't been braided, hasn't been manipulated heavily, hasn't had color. It's virgin. It hardly gets, touched or stroked or anything like that, which is unrealistic. But what we're looking for within my business is to help that client who is wanting to have or enjoy their hair and have someone help them do it in the healthiest way. And so my daughter is experiencing a dislike for her hair today, or at this period of time, and she's wanting to also alter her hair. She wants to alter texture of her hair so that we can better manage it and so it doesn't take over her life. So she's got exams at the moment, and this is what she wants to do. And so when she spoke to me about the issues that she's having with her hair, it just brought about the conversation because I know that there are lots of people out there, some bashing people, bashing women for having their hair relaxed or altering the state of their hair, the texture of their hair because of manageability. And I just want to discuss that truly all it is that it is people's preferences. So I wanted to read a review that I got from a client today that kind of seals everything off so nicely. It almost ties it with a bow and helps us to understand how people truly feel about their hair and how my job or the way we help people in managing their hair, regardless of the style that they choose to have or the alteration that they have to their hair, we are not to judge them, but it is just simply to help people have that preference and feel good about themselves and live their best lives that they can. Okay, so hi, Desiree. I just wanted to send you a message to let you know that your services have done so much more for me than just giving me a new hairstyle. I initially wanted to get boxed braids for two reasons. I get more culturally in touch with my Black heritage. And two, to make my hair more manageable for me as a disabled person, both of which are highly important. But it has become so much more than that. With straight, flat hair, I never really felt beautiful and didn't even really know how it felt to feel beautiful. My hair never framed my face very well, so I never felt like I looked quite right, and I didn't take much pride in my appearance or feel confident as a result. Being mixed race and looking different from all my peers, whether they were Black and or white, added to my insecurity. Being autistic made it even more difficult to care about how I look. But when you gave me box braids, suddenly I felt like a goddess. It was like the missing piece had fallen into place. I know now that big hair suits me. And now that I've had a taste of what it feels like to take pride in your appearance, I never want to go back. I no longer feel insecure about how I look. I have a newfound confidence, sense of dignity, and boosted self-esteem that I never thought possible. And doing my hair is no longer just a chore. It's actually fun now. I am now learning how to properly do box braids for myself and also considering having other hairstyles from Black culture. Got my eye on Jerry curls, as she says. And you bet that when I'm ready to try something new, I'll definitely be coming back to see you again. This whole experience of coming to your salon, meeting you, and getting to know you and receiving your services has been so uplifting and empowering for me. I cannot thank you enough. You're a queen and you are amazing, and your work is changing lives. I couldn't be more humbled by that review. And I only read this because it gives us a nice balance the discussion regarding why we do the things we do, and that compassion is so important when it comes to the psychology surrounding hair. Here we have my daughter who has tightly coiled hair, who has a mother who can assist her in doing her hair. I am not far away from her. She knows where to find me. In fact, she has got a lot of education around her own hair and how to manage her hair. And yet she just feels that she just wants something more hands off at the moment because that's just how she feels. And then we have my client who is has got straight long hair, who also feels that she just wants to feel a connection to who she is. And we also have my sister, who is someone who just feels that by altering her hair, it gives her an opportunity to care for her hair better, and that it suits her face. All of these three scenarios can be mutually right. There is nothing wrong with anybody wanting to have their hair the way they want it, to fit their lifestyle, and that's just a way of preparing to have their hair the way they want to have it. And so the conversation around what people do is not a conversation that I want to have on my platform. I am here to hold people's hands to achieve the look that they're looking for in a healthy way. All the products that I use are vegan and organic. And yes, it isn't to just keep your hair in its natural state, but it is to help you in making sure that the treatments that you have, with the products that I use, replenish your hair and looks after your body. It removes those endocrine disrupting agents that are there to really cause allergies, fertility issues, and so on and so forth. To remove that possibility and the chance of that happening to your body away, and just know that that is one worry that you don't have to worry about. And if you choose to have those highly technical treatments, I'm also there to help guide you to make sure that you're doing it in a very sympathetic way, and that we are following protocols, and we are making sure that all the contraindications are dealt with. So these are the things that contraindications are just things that stop you from having the treatments. These are the things that may come in the way of you successfully having a treatment. Contraindications are things like maybe you've got excoriation of the scalp, so you've got a removal of the skin where there's a scar or there's a wound that may interfere with the treatment that you're about to do, or that it will affect the outcome of the treatment. Okay, and then any contractions are maybe allergies and reactions that occur because of the treatment. So we want to make sure that we are doing both. We're looking after you completely. We are dealing with any contraindications, so anything that will prevent us from having these treatments or prevent the outcome of your treatment to be successful. And then we're looking at things that will be an after effect of or a cause of you having the treatments that we've had that are highly technical and chemical based. So this is basically what I do, and I just hope that it leaves room for people to consider when certain words are being used about Black women and their hair, and what they choose to do, if effectively what women choose to do with their hair. I have been relaxed before, I have been natural, I have had curly perms, I've had, all sorts done to my hair. And so I am an advocate for all of the above, but ultimately what I'm trying to say is that what we decide to do with our hair, we must do it in the most healthiest way that we can. There's nothing stopping you or limiting you from doing things that you need to do, but so long as you do it cautiously and consciously with great intentions to make sure that you're doing it, and that you're finding the right practitioners to help you to do that. Find the right expert in your neighborhood, in your area, or where you live, to give you the best treatment that you possibly can, to counteract any issues that may happen to you, or that they can do the right consultations to make sure that you're the right candidate in your hair and scalp conducive area for the treatments to take place. Then you are good to go. We are a no judgment or a judgment-free zone, and everybody's welcome to get their treatment done. Okay, I don't know what else that I want to discuss today. I think I am done. I don't know if anyone else has any questions at all, but if you've enjoyed it, because of the transformations that I do and the transformative nature of my work, I want to call my audience, butterflies, because, caterpillars and butterflies and all that. And so if you did enjoy what you've watched today and you've learned something at all, find the butterfly emoji and just put that in the chat. And if you have any questions, If you put them in, I will still see that and I'll be able to answer that in another video. But just to tie everything off today, we've spoken about effective cleansing of the hair, scalp, and skin. And we've spoken about the fact that if you get cleansing wrong, it is hard to get hair, scalp, and skincare right. It's really important that you make sure that cleansing is really top notch and it's really working for you and you're using your surfactants brilliantly. We've also spoken about psychology of or around afro hair or the hair itself, any hair in general. We've discussed the hair, or we've discussed rather afro hair and how the comparison between afro hair and other hair types really isn't fair because of the fact that they are not the same. Hair is hair, however, the composition and characteristics, the inherent characteristics of each hair type is completely different. So we don't really want to be having conversations around that. Someone has just said, I have I just learned how to apply conditioner on my hair properly. Good. I'm glad that you have. And so work your conditioners in beautifully and make sure that you're allowing the time that it says on the bottle. The manufacturer's guidelines are so important for us to follow. I mean, if you are not following manufacturer's guidelines, it doesn't make sense because they formulated the product. And when they formulated it, they tested it. And based on the test that they did, they decided that 2, 3, 5 minutes is what is necessary for the actual ingredients to work properly or the formulation to be active. And so if you're not using products properly, it does not make sense. And don't forget that shampoos are for your scalp and conditioners are for your hair. On that note, I shall leave you. Thank you and good night.